First thing I'd say is your menu and tweaking your menu needs to be constant. One of the things that we're blessed with in hospitality is we probably have one of the most immediate customer feedback loops out of any industry. Like if you are a car manufacturer, you got to release a car, you'll find out in at probably 8 months if you're lucky whether you nailed your product market fit. In hospitality, you put a new dish on, you find out that night, and so I think not enough people leverage that. So I think the way that you have to really leverage that information is you got to do a lot of talking. You got to talk. I mean, obviously, we're going to review all of our data that comes through from like 7rooms and Google reviews and all the rest of it. But I think that's being a little bit passive if that's all you rely on. You need to be really active and you need to survey. You need to run focus groups where you can. It's not uncommon to see our founder, on the floor on a Saturday night, just coming up to a table and shouting him a glass of wine to ask him some questions, and I think you have to take that stuff and then you have to feed it back into the operation and tweak accordingly, because if you just ask people what they want, right, like they sometimes don't know, or they might just tell you that they want something that's quite aspirational and they're going to describe some utopian situation. But the reality is if you ask them what they actually order and what were the last 10 dishes that they ordered on a Saturday night when they went out, you might find there's a bit of a discrepancy there. So I think like one of the things that's important to determine is like once you can understand like this is what people are ordering, do you have those products on your menu? And if you don't, then get one on and see what happens and measure it straight away and see if it's sold and benchmark.
That's really hands-on, right? So
Yeah.
every night seeing what's selling. I mean, one feedback loop, of course, is Google and 7rooms, Open Table. Are people using the feedback from those players?
Definitely. There's a few aggregators there that will pull all the organic reviews for you.
Right.
Be that Facebook or your reservation platform or Google reviews, or also use mystery shoppers. In the past, I don't use them, but I found that to be quite an insightful way if they're done consistently. And if you're able to curate the questions that you want them to go through, it's quite an objective way to present some feedback to your staff as well.
One more comment on that. I think, and this is, I'm going to throw back to Leon, but I think, a lot of these sources we're talking about, there's a lot of data there, right? And I think that things like ChatGPT are making a big difference in how you can actually make sense of that. If you've got 2,000 rows of Google reviews, that's very hard to have one person sit through and go through and make sense of it.
I'd kill to have 2,000 rows of feedback, just saying. But look, ultimately we used it for a bit of a less mechanical and a more philosophical purpose, but we were trying to just do some auditing of the identities across our venues. And when you start to try to, nail identity, you get pretty aspirational. And sometimes you just have to look at what's there and own it. And for one of our venues, we just took all the reviews that we had and just put it into one document and dumped it into ChatGPT and said, identify the most common themes, and it gave us the identity pretty quick.
In hotel world,
yeah, I think it's probably very similar to what the other members were talking about, where you're sort of collating data to give you an identity or understand a trend that you're seeing. I don't necessarily think that someone is tasked at a property in a hotel, and I would suggest this is the same in food and beverage, to take action from that. And I think that's really what we're talking a lot about. It's like, it's great to automate tasks and do all these things, because what that will do is it will free up your people to be able to spend time looking at these real customer requirements to increase your guest experience. So can you automate tasks to free up people to then really start looking at your guest experience to make it better so that it drives more revenue and ultimately repeat customers driving more revenue? And I think the tools are available. Whether they're being utilized enough is probably the question that I would